One controversy continues to swirl around the negotiated release of Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl this past week. I talked with our Washington Bureau Chief Jacqueline Policastro about that and the VA scandal continuing to rock the Veterans Administration that resulted in the resignation of the secretary there. Here's my interview with Washington Bureau Chief Jacqueline Policastro. And Jacqueline, as always, thanks very much for taking time out of your schedule in Washington. We appreciate it, you joining us on Conklin & Company this morning. First of all, the VA hospital scandal prompting members of Congress to get in on this, to focus on reform proposals. What's happening on Capitol Hill as we talk to you late in the week here?
Well, Lee, lawmakers say they want more information and they want more transparency. The Senate was in session this past week, and there are several bills swirling around the Senate to deal with this VA scandal. The House wasn't in session, but House Republicans actually wrote a letter to President Obama. They want the president to give them sort of a plan. They want to know what he's going to do to tackle this VA scandal. They say that he has not given enough information in the light of all of this recent news that's come out. And again, one of the biggest things here is that information that lawmakers are looking for. They say they don't have the numbers, they don't have the stats from the VA, and they're waiting from the White House to get those. I
know that you've talked with both Senators Brown and Portman. What do they have to say about this reform going forward?
Well, the Senator Rob Portman, Republican, he says that this is fraud, and he signed on to a new bill, and it's called the Veterans Choice Act. It's all about choice, transparency, and change. This would basically allow veterans who are geographically challenged to be able to get care under the current VA system. It would also allow all of those veterans who are on those long wait lists to be able to get private care. So there's a lot that goes into this type of legislation, but right now, Republican Senator Rob Portman has signed on to this bill. It was a bill that Senator John McCain unveiled earlier this week. When I talked to several Republican senators working on this, they say that they firmly believe the VA has enough money and enough doctors to tackle all of these problems. They think the problem lies in management. Now, when it comes to Democratic Senator, yeah, I know, right? And it was an interesting comment. I hear you, sort of giving that, and it was one of those moments when, you're surprised to hear that, because there are some other senators that are saying that we need more doctors, but several Republicans are saying that's not the case. But moving on to Democrats, Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown, he signed on to a different bill. It's calling the Restoring a Veterans Trust Act, and it really does deal with a lot of the similar things that the Republicans bill does deal with, except for, of course, they're split on party line in support of these two pieces of legislation. There is one very big difference between Senator Portman and Senator Brown here. I talked to Senator Brown, and he was adamant that he did not support the resignation of Eric Shinseki. He says that he was a great guy, someone he admired, and he said to me, I'm not going to dance on his grave. Brown also really had a lot of support for the work that the VA is doing throughout the country. He says that in his opinion, he believes these VA medical centers are doing great work. They just need better management. So Brown and Portman are definitely split on this issue.
Yeah, neither one afraid to mince words here, for sure. The other big story, this firestorm that has erupted over the last week, Jacqueline, is the negotiated release of Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. New video out this past week of Bergdahl being released. What's the reaction on Capitol Hill to this story? I know that it has become a firestorm of controversy involving the press and pundits, but lawmakers themselves, what are you hearing as they talk with you?
It's another split bag when it comes to lawmakers, Lee, and this is a very tricky story because there's just so much information that we don't yet have. You referenced that new video that we saw, sort of a chilling video, but we don't know a lot about him. We don't know a lot about this soldier, and I think that's what is a lot of the lawmakers that I've talked to are struggling with, because they have certain opinions, of course, on what it means to negotiate with terrorists, but they don't feel like they have enough information. Now, I talked with Senator Portman about this, and he said that he believes the president made a mistake. And he also said, quote, this sends the message that if you capture an American, you have a bargaining chip. And Senator Brown, he feels completely differently about this. He said that he supports the president's decision 100%. And he actually told me, Lee, that he believes that members of Congress whine too much, that all these members of Congress, especially the senators who are speaking out, he's saying that they're simply complaining and that he believes they're making this into a 2014 election issue. Well, I don't know if that goes a little bit too far. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to stop you. So you have Senator Portman and Senator Brown, but perhaps the most interesting person you talked to about this was Senator John McCain.
Yeah, absolutely. I did talk to Senator John McCain about it, and he had some very, very harsh words for the president. He said he didn't agree with this swap at all, and he believes that what happened would put American men and women across the globe in danger. And, you know, this is a war veteran, so
Right.
people take what he says very seriously. So that was his opinion. That's what he told us.
Yeah, I
Yes.
called it the most interesting person, but the person who has the, you know, certainly the perspective to lend on this, the prisoner of war. Senator John McCain. We appreciate your perspective, your input from Washington, as always. Jacqueline, we will see you again down the road. Thanks for joining us on Conklin and Company. We appreciate it.